All right. Hey, everybody. So today we're actually going to start with the 6B reteach. So the standard 6B reteach for Unit 8, South Asia. So we're going to talk about a few important aspects of this region within the 6B standard, including physical geography, government, economics, and culture, and population as well. So starting off with physical geography, one very important aspect are going to be waterways or water systems, and this is going to include rivers. Now, what we know about rivers is they are extremely important, and throughout history, and especially in this region, we're going to see that most civilizations and most cities are going to be located near bodies of water. It's because these rivers provide fertile areas with arable land that are great for agriculture. Arable land being land that could be utilized for crops and agriculture. However, another great resource that these rivers provide is going to be an abundance of fresh water. This fresh water is also extremely valuable for the sustaining of the population of the people in this region. So arable land is a great resource that rivers provide, or they provide the region a fertile soil that create this arable land for agriculture. But one of the main things that the rivers are going to be providing are going to be an abundance of fresh water. Now, a few examples of these rivers are going to be the Ganges River and the Narmada River. And specifically, we're going to be talking about the Narmada River Dam and its system. Now, starting off with the Ganges River, as you can see by this picture right here, there's a lot of people, more than likely practitioners of Hinduism, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Now, talking about agriculture up here, this land is actually surrounded by the alluvial plain or the Indo-Gangetic plain that has an abundance of arable land that we talked about earlier, which is great for crops and agriculture. Now, this river is considered extremely sacred to the Hindu population. So it's extremely sacred to the Hindu population of India. It's because the Hindu people, or the Hindu population, I should say, they bathe in this river for purification. They utilize this river as a worship site, and they often spread their loved ones' cremated ashes within the river as well. Now, moving on to the Narmada River Dam. This dam system, of course, can be found on the Narmada River. And a few pros of this project have included irrigation. It also provides the population with fresh drinking water, which both are extremely vital. Now, some of the cons that could come from the Narmada River Dam project. Now, it causes poor deposition by affecting natural progression of the river. So what that basically means is it kind of messes with the natural flow of the river, which causes poor deposition or poor moving of materials down the river to assist in that soil building process. Another con, it often causes flooding in multiple areas and displaces the local population. So there's a lot of flooding associated with this dam system, and it also often makes the local population have to move or displace. Now you'll have a few moments in the activity to answer a few questions associated with physical geography. Good luck. All right, so now we're actually going to move on to culture and religion. And we're going to talk about Hinduism and Sikhism specifically. So starting with Hinduism. Hinduism can actually be described as monotheistic and polytheistic. Now, you might say, how can that be? How can they believe in one God and many gods at the same time? Believe it or not, Hinduism, within Hinduism, the Hindu population believe that Brahman is the main god, but Brahman can be represented by many other gods, such as Vishnu and Saraswati, which Saraswati is the goddess of education. The Hindus also believe in reincarnation and that one must follow the Vedas, which is their holy text. They must follow the law of the Vedas and break the cycle of reincarnation. That is their ideal. That is what they want to reach. They want to break the cycle of reincarnation. And this is to reach moksha, which is going to be the end of death and rebirth. So to stop the reincarnation or the cycle of reincarnation, they must follow the Vedas in order to reach moksha. Hinduism also created the caste system, which we've talked about in class, the social structure all the way from the pariahs to the Brahmins, which are going to be your priest, and the pariahs are going to be your untouchables down at the bottom. Now, the caste system or that social structure is going to affect the Indian culture. It's going to dictate their marriage options, who they can marry, if they can marry at all, employment, education, the economy, mobility, housing and politics, and many other cultural aspects. So the caste system has a heavy impact on Indian culture. Switching to Sikhism. So followers of Sikhism are mainly going to be found in the North region, primarily the Punjabi language region, because if you are a Sikh, more than likely you are going to speak Punjabi, which is their primary language. Sikhism is also a monotheistic religion that believes in reincarnation, just like Hinduism and just like Buddhism. Now, the Sikhs believe in balancing work, worship, providing charity, and they also like to defend the rights of all living creatures. Now you have a few moments to answer the questions associated with culture and religion. All right, so we will actually move on to the demographics of India. We'll start with life expectancy. In this chart, we are going to ignore the dependency ratio as of right now. We're going to focus on the blue, which is going to be the fertility rate, and the grayish black line, which will be life expectancy at birth. Now, starting with life expectancy. So if we start in the 1950s, we see that the life expectancy was about 37 years. Going through time, decade after decade, we're going to see a change in the life expectancy. So by 2018, we see that the life expectancy jumped from 37 years in 1950 to 69.2 years in the year 2018. Now, this exponential increase is going to be due to the industrialization of India. So India started off with a low HDI, or Human Development Index, and due to many different factors, India has actually grown and industrialized, increasing the HDI. And so the life expectancy in the region is going to be higher. One other aspect of the demographics in India will be the fertility rate, which we've talked about before in class through various charts. Now, as we see in the chart with the blue indicating the fertility rate, it has actually fallen, and most scientists believe that it will continue to fall, and it's influenced by many different factors, including infanticide of female infants, because most ideologies in the region they prefer sons because they believe that sons will bring wealth and status to the family. And also the outnumbering of males to females when it comes to population. So I'll give you a moment to look over the slide, and then you will have the opportunity to answer a few questions based on the demographics. All right, so we'll move on to the economics of India. Now, in most parts of India, we're going to see a lot of traditional and modern agriculture, as you see to the right. Now, one example of agriculture that we're going to see in India will be in Bhutan, which actually practice terrace farming. Now, we've talked about terrace farming before, especially in Latin America with the Incans. Now, terrace farming is when you're trying to grow agriculture in high elevation on hillsides or a mountainous region. Now, it's going to look like that the steps, and on top of each step, you're going to see an area for growing crops and agriculture. That was the terraced farming. Now, other areas dealing with economics, we're going to see some more advanced areas with a broader range of products. An example would be that of Bangladesh. Bangladesh is known for its textile production. Now, textiles will include things, in this case, like clothing. So if you want to think of textiles, think clothing or fibrous materials. Now, in this picture here, you see a few women creating textiles or clothing for production. Once again, textiles are a very important product and the top product that will be produced in areas such as Bangladesh. Now, another very important aspect of India will be outsourcing. This is a large part of their economy. Countries such as the United States outsource to India or in India because India can provide cheap labor, English speakers, because Great Britain colonized India and spread the English language. And so they have access to English speakers and their connectivity to many parts of the world. So these are some of the main factors that influence outsourcing in India. I'll give you a few moments to answer the next few questions. All right, so we're going to move on to the government, or an aspect of the government. And in this case, it's going to be India's independence. We spoke about India's independence and the aftermath of India's independence with the India partition, but we also talked about the process too with Mahatma Gandhi, which was one of the most influential leaders in the India's independence movement, and in the world too. He's very famous. Mahatma Gandhi, or Gandhi, led a series of nonviolent protests for India's independence, such as the Salt March, where roughly 60,000 Indians protested by illegally collecting salt and, of course, marching. This is Gandhi, right in the top right. Now, there are also many other strategies that the Indian people utilized to gain their independence. So a few of the strategies that they utilized to gain their independence from Great Britain were boycotted of British imports, such as textiles or clothing. They also did not support British war. And the Indian people requested that products, such as clothing, be produced in India or made in India. So these were a few of the different strategies that the Indian people utilized to gain their independence from Great Britain. I'll give you a few moments to look over the slide and then answer the questions associated with it.